So we will get started. What I will basically do is we'll start off very simple. I'll put you into two pairs. So I think I will put GT Grandad and Pesky Wabbits, you're a pair. Iceman and DM Tornado, you guys are a pair. And all you're going to do, if everyone comes back to the pit lane now, so you're all inside the pit lane, and I will basically get two of you to go out together, and then when you're about halfway round the lap, I'll send the other two of you out. And the reason for that is it enables me to be able to capture more of you going through every corner, so I miss less. The video that I'm recording misses less, so you can see it. All that's going to happen, there's going to be 4 laps including the out lap, where one of you is leading and you're just going at a relatively quick but comfortable pace, and the other is following. And the objective for the follower is to just be as close as possible, as much as possible. That's it. If you lose the toe, the leader can maybe just do a little bit of a lift, only if they look like they're outside of a second or they have a little bit of a whoopsie doodle. In any case, we don't need to push too hard. And I'm just thinking if I've explained everything clearly. Once you get to, you've got out lap 1, lap 2 and 3 will be your swap over. So once you've completed 2 laps, you basically just swap over on the pit straight. That's it really. And then you do the exact same thing, and then once you've done those 4 laps, we're good to go. So the first 2 guys to go out, I'm going to say GT Grandad will lead Pesky Wabbit. So you guys go out straight away. And then just get into the swing of things. I'm just keeping my eyes on that. And then I will say that DM Tornado will lead out Iceman. And I'll let you guys know when to start doing that. So you're just setting a sort of 85% race pace. You're not absolutely caning it. And you're just getting into a rhythm and just trying to work to follow us closely. It shouldn't be easy, but it will enable me to sort of spot your technique and maybe just make minor adjustments. So I would say GT Grandad, just allow Pesky Rabbits to come a little bit closer. Right, full send now. So off you go. That sort of range, anywhere between there and bumper to bumper. I want to see what you guys do when you get close. So I'm going to say DM Tornado, Iceman, you guys can rock out now. And I'll just keep my eyes on all of you and just make comments along the way, because you will be getting this video, you'll be able to see it all. That's nice. So let's see what Pesky Rabbits does here. Yeah, a little bit of a lift, perfect. There's 2 ways you can follow closely on a straight. Upshift early, or small lift. Yeah, nice. All about rhythm and pace. Yeah, looks good from Pesky Rabbits. That looks nice. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you're at a good distance, Pesky Rabbits. That's nice. Keep that up. Just flipping over to Iceman. So I'm just taking personal notes in my head of what observations I'm making and how I'm going to cover the main points with you guys. Nice and smooth. Tiny little lift from DM Tornado, just a little bit before the pitch straight. There we go, perfect. And then we're back in the swing of things. You're working together really. Cool. Yeah, nice. Yeah, that is the sort of lift, pesky rabbits. That's perfect. That's perfect. Nice. Nicely done. Yeah, you want to go flat out through here. Right, flipping over to Iceman again. A little bit of a lift from David, not much. Perfect. Right, stamp on the gas. Okay, so Grandad and Pesky Rabbits are going to switch over. Alrighty. Let's see what you got, GT Grandad. Just going to follow. Pleb mode intensifies. I can hear you're laughing, even though I can't hear you're laughing. I just know you're laughing. Right. Iceman. Looking good. I wouldn't lift yet. I'd let yourself get really nice and close on this straight. Whee! Brown underpants. Okay. Yeah, that's good. A little bit of a lift from Pesky Rabbits, not much. Perfect, carry on. Yeah, nice braking there, Grandad. Right, you want to get as close as possible on this straight, so just flat out. Switching over to DM Tornado now, looking quite nice and close, so try and maintain that gap. I think your turning is a fraction too late sometimes, David, with a lot of the corners. This looks good. Yeah, that's really good control. DM Tornado, that's perfect. That's really good. Whoa, agony. Agony. Let yourself catch back up. Right, I'm going back to Grandad. Little lift from Pesky Rabbits. Perfect. Yep, that's good, that's good, that's good. try not to watch the back of the car you're following too much, especially mid-corner, you know, taking the corner. Start looking at the apexes. Otherwise you can follow the person in front of you. Like if they accelerate too early and they're going to run wide, you're more likely to follow them into that because you're staring at the back of their car too much. Just use your periphery to know whether or not you may or may not bump into them, and also trusting the timing of when you brake, and I'll cover that more in a moment. But so far, all four looking good. Okay, so Grandad, Pesky Rabbits, jump into the lobby, chill out. Whee! That was a Shadow Realm ticket. Good save. And well spotted by Iceman, just leaving that door open so that ultimately you didn't get ping-ponged. Right, let's see what you do along the back straight. Now if you're this early on the straight, it's probably best to give them a bump draft, so that you both collectively don't lose time to people following you. Whereas when it's later in the straight, you would just start lifting and coasting and just staying close. It all depends on what's going on behind you. Marvellous. Okay.
Do we swap back over now?
So all of you jump into the pits now. So yeah, great job. It's a good start. We've got a nice long hour, and we're going to move into the next thing where we start making things more interesting. But what I will do is I'll sort of cover some observations and probably highlight points that will help you all a lot. Obviously the first thing is the ability to be close enough of the time that you can even begin to practice the way you approach a braking zone, which is a hard thing because you worry about crashing into the back of someone. You know, obviously you don't want to do that. So you need to kind of have a set principle about the way you reduce the chances of crashing into the back of someone. So in the same way that you have a clearly identified braking point, you would have the same thing under the same circumstances. Now, I appreciate that those circumstances vary wildly the less consistent you are. I completely appreciate that. But hey, that's part of the process, part of the journey. That is absolutely fine, because as you improve that skill, when you get there, you know what you're trying to do. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask DM Tornado to go out, and I'm going to follow DM Tornado, and I want you all to watch. And I'm going to cover probably 3 distinctive ways that I try to stay close in the braking zone. There's 3 different ways that I will do it. So we're sort of assuming that we can all stay close all of the time. To be honest, practicing it is everything. It's no harm in having an alt account where you do a daily race and your main focus is trying to follow. And ultimately, the more experience you get, the better you get. So yeah, DM Tornado, go out, and I'm just going to do 1 lap with him. And I want you all to watch my view. And I'll sort of explain in real time how I'm staying close at the brake zone, which is probably the hardest bit. So I'll just let DM Tornado mince in front. Right, okay. So I'll get close first. And the great thing about these long straights is it enables you more time to hoover the guy in front of you. Consistency takes time, but this track makes it more likely that you'll be close enough more of the time to be able to practice what we've got going up. So what I'll do is I'll ask David to just lift off a bit, let me get close for the next straights. So the first type of braking I'm going to do, if I get close here, it's better to just bump draft them rather than lift. As you get closer, it's better to lift. Now what I'm going to do is going to do a full lift, then brake at my usual brake point, which is hard to spot, I appreciate. But when you do a full lift about 2 seconds before your usual brake point, when you're that close, you tend to find that it works out quite nicely. I'll do it again heading into this long big straight. So since we are really nice and close halfway up the big straight, there's plenty of time for a bump draft and for the person in front of me to recognise they need to brake earlier. I might have a little look. I'm lifting now, full lift, full brakes at the usual brake point, and you tend to notice that you more or less slow down at the same rate as the guy in front of you. So that's style number one, if you will. It's fully off and then fully on the brakes. Now as for another style, it's more of a half lift and half braking. So I'll do it at the end of the pit straight if I can. Whoopsie doodles. So yeah, see, that's what we all worry about. But a little tap like that, it really isn't the end of the world. So the next one is, yeah, half lift and then start half braking. So I've got half lift, I'm just staying at the same pace, half braking. Now that's a harder one to get right because you might do it too early and you can see them moving away from you quite rapidly because you're on the brake too early. Let's try it with this corner here. Half throttle, half brakes quite early. Yeah, too late there. Do you see what I mean? It's a lot harder to get that one right. It's because it's more, it's not subjective, it's just that there's more variety in the way that you do the input. It's harder to judge. So therein points to the fact that example number one is probably the one that you can be more consistent with as a technique. So we're coming up to a braking zone quite nicely. I want to do full lift at the right point. I'm not quite close enough, so I can actually just brake normally, you know, a little bit earlier than my usual braking point. And of course that's another part of the challenge, guys, is the fact that you're never in exactly the same position every time, unless you are a full-on alien. But you don't have to be an alien to be reasonably good at this. I'm not an alien, I just don't think I am. I'm going to bump draft here, it makes sense. But the one I want you to work on when you get close is when it's just do a full lift really close, brake at the usual braking point. You're more likely to get it right. I got it a tiny bit wrong there, but both of you as drivers, even though it's a little bit of a bump, because it's not totally catastrophic impact, you both just shrug it off. You don't lose a lot of time. You both recognise in each other that the person following is sort of trying to work with you. So here, I would do a little lift. Stay close. Like that. Okay? Not easy, I appreciate. But I hope that it highlights the fact that the first example, it's more likely to be consistent with. The second example is more likely to pleb it, because there's more different, there's difference in the input. So we're back in the pits. What I will do now, we're trying to deliberately, even the leaders, I want you to deliberately work with each other so that you're that close at the braking zone. So if you need to do a little lift, do it. Just do a cheeky one and try and work with each other, because the bit we really want to practice is the moment we want to brake and we are bumper to bumper. That is the main thing. So we've got lots of straight to get ourselves in sync to be able to work on that. I'm going to make it a bit more interesting though. So this time, the leader, off you go. The follower, you both do 2 laps, just like before, but the third lap turns into a race. So the third lap, the winner is the person in front at the end. And I want to see how you both sort of duke it out. Then you will go back into the pits, then go out, and then that's when you swap over. Okay? So, based on that basis, Pesky Rabbits, you will lead GT Grandad. 2 laps of working together on the close following braking zone shenanigans. And then the last lap is racing. Yes, you might pleb it, not the end of the world, it's all part of the challenge. But if you can sort of build up your tempo towards that racing lap, and sort of race in a way, I don't want you to race in a way where be in front at all costs. I want you to race in a way where the lap times is still really, really good. Do not give up too much lap time. In a way, be satisfied with coming second with a better lap time, because that will produce better, closer racing. That's what we're trying to do. So, yeah. Pesky Rabbits, out you go with GT Grandad now. And then DM Tornado will lead Iceman out. But once the first guys get halfway round the lap. Awesome sauce. So we can actually spend a bit of time just watching the first 2 guys. So get close together. When you're trying to do a lift so that you don't tap their rear, you don't have to come off the throttle much. Probably 75% throttle, and not for very long either. Whereas when you're lifting because you're approaching a braking zone, yeah, you need to do that a lot more. Right, DM Tornado, lead Iceman out. Let's rock and roll. All about staying close, Grandad. Nice and fluid. A bump draft would be appropriate for you, Grandad. That is no problem. You're not too close to the braking zone. Pesky Rabbits will have to brake a bit earlier than usual. Right, lift. Whoops, too late. No worries. Keep trying. This is what it's about. It's about trying, and it's having the opportunity to even practice this stuff without the other person losing their mind because they don't realise it's just a little mistake, you know. Right. All about fluid smoothness. Yeah, looking good, looking good, looking good. So you probably won't get a bump draft here, Iceman. But you'll probably be able to brake just a bit earlier than the usual brake point. No worries.
Too deep.
Yep, just try and get as close as possible, Grandad.
Oh.
Nice. Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, cool. Yeah, that was nicely done there, Iceman. Okay, stay close, Grandad, stay close. Right, braking a bit earlier than the usual brake point. That's it, that's great. And follow around. Nice. Awesome. Right, you're nice and close here, Iceman, that's perfect. So this will be more of a full lift. And then brake at the usual brake point. Bang on. That was bang on. Keep doing that. Right. You can brake just a bit earlier than usual brake point, Grandad. Perfect. I think, Grandad, you'll notice how much you reduce your speed on the entry into corners compared to pesky rabbits. It becomes more obvious, and it just means you're on the brakes a bit too long. Right, looking good, Iceman. This looks to me like braking just a bit earlier than the usual brake point. You won't have to do any lifting of the brakes. Perfect. Look at that shit. You did a temporary second guessing and lifting of the brake, which
It still made me run wide.
Yeah, 100%. Right, it is race time with Grandad and Pesky Rabbits, but the lap time is the priority. Remember that. Yeah, no problem having a little look there. I would have just chucked in behind rather than even having a look. Taking it easy through here, not forcing it. Whoa, that is a pleb moment, alright. So, Pesky Rabbit's worth letting him catch up and then the battle recommences. That's enough lift, so send it now. Great. Right, Battle Royale. Okay, DM Tornado and Iceman, it is race time, but again the lap time is the priority. Yeah, really nice line, Grandad.
Oh!
Too far back for a move, I'd say. See if you can try and get close before the final corner. Ooh. Oh, super close to the wall there, Neil. A little bit of a lift from David, just get the battle back on. Oh, it's looking close on the pit straight, isn't it? Ah. Good stuff, guys. Okay, so Pesky Rabbit's GT Grandad back into the pits, and then GT Grandad, you're going to lead Pesky Rabbits out. You're just going to do the exact same thing. Just swapping over now. Right, we're going to pretend you got a really good slipstream. Let's see how you guys react. And it is race on now. Really nice and close there. I like that a lot. Yeah. That line is really tricky through there.
It's really dirty air.
Yeah, there will be a little bit of it for sure. So you have to sort of account for it. Nicely done, lad. So yeah, when you cross the line into the pits, and then Iceman, you will lead DM Tornado out. Right. This looks good, Pesky Rabbits. You could go for a tap. Yeah. And this will be a full lift brake at the usual brake point. Yeah, great stuff. That tells me you could have lifted a bit later, but overall it was really good. It's very hard when you're close, you can't see. So you can practice that on the next straight. Yeah, this looks nice for just staying close. Just, yeah, keep yourself really nice and close. Right, full lift. And brake. Nicely done. And obviously the timing of your lift, you can actually set a lift point the way you would set a brake point. and defining your lift points. It takes practice like defining your brake points, and it helps to be consistent. That just takes time. Standard. But that's how you find it. Ooh, second guessing yourself with that lift, David. You were pretty much bang on. You could have started trail braking instead. Probably a better way to approach it. And then let it coast around the corner for longer is another way to try and just offset and make adjustments so you stay close. I think for DM Tornado this will be a full lift at 200, brake at 150 setup. Yeah, it got a little bit close. You just got to sort of make those micro adjustments on the fly. But that's the right idea. Rescue Rabbits, you are doing really nicely staying close. Yeah, this is awesome. This is bump draft territory here. So give him a little bump. And then full lift at 175 meters, brake at 125. Boom! Perfect. Look at that. Nice. Oof. Yeah, looking good. Yeah, that's good shit. That's good shit. Pesky rabbits. Good control. Yeah, this is a full lift at 175 for David. Little tap, you could do a tap here for sure. Yes, that was a hard one to judge. I think that was the latest you could possibly give a bump draft, as if you were approaching a corner like that. Later than that, I tend not to. This one... You can bump draft, definitely. And then brake just before your usual point. Yeah. This is a very difficult skill, but valuable skill, because you have a framework, but it can very slightly be different depending on the very slight differences in distance and so on. Right, bump draft, yeah. Bump. It is race mode for Pesky Rabbits and Juicy Grandad. So it's about who gets over the line first. Whoop. And it is race time for Tornado and Iceman. So yeah, get over that line in front, but preserve the lap time. Pesky Rabbit is coming. You look like you're shaping up to be able to go for a move in this corner. Ooh, just a bit far back, but possible. Yeah, you could do like a fake out, which seems to have worked very nicely on GT Grandad. Oh dear, never mind. We all make mistakes. I'm the king of mistakes. Right. So when you guys cross the line, yeah, jump back into the pits. We might catch a bit of Iceman DM Tornado action, which is looking good. You're all getting into a good rhythm. So your only opportunity, Iceman, is probably the final corner. So just focus on trying to get close for that, rather than overtaking as soon as possible. Nice. So smooth line. Ah, good effort. Yeah, too far back for that one. Ooh, DM Tornado got a bit of understeer there. Could have been wheel to wheel on the pit straight. Alrighty, okay. Relax. Good shit. Back into the pits. Okay. Whoo! Lots of information there. That was really good. You're both getting into stride. That is only getting better and better. It's a lot to think about. What the real main takeaway for you guys is to sort of know what the framework is. And when you get it right once or twice, you then sort of know what you're aiming for. And you get better context. So if you all watch my view, so I'm going to exit the pit lane. I'm not going to do anything particularly fancy here, but if you can all see my view, and also make sure that you turn on all the race information so you can see my throttle and pedal. So let's say this is a good example because the brake point happens to be right underneath this 100-meter board. So it's all really nice and tidy in a sense. Sometimes you get braking points that are sort of just before 100 meters, so it's a little bit less kind of marked out. Now, if you are effectively bumper to bumper and you have a closing speed, so you're actually closing in, and the 100-meter board is the usual brake point. If I brake even here right now, because of the closing speed, I will go into the back of that person. So I actually, even though I'm braking earlier, given that I have a toe, it's perfect for the corner, but it's not perfect for the fact that the cars effectively will overlap. So you actually have to either brake just a little bit earlier than a slipstream braking point, which you may well pick up on in your practice sessions for FIA or whatever, or even just normal racing. But you actually have to brake a bit earlier. And that, by the way, is if you're bumper to bumper with a closing speed, which is why you start lifting. You sort of, the goal of lifting, you can't see my hand right now, but on this camera, on the recording later, you'll be able to see it. So just make a note and you'll be able to see it. But when I lift, the goal is not to be making it so that the leader is actually pulling away from me. The goal is to make it lift so that I actually equalise the speed, so you're both travelling the same speed. That is when you can brake more or less at your usual braking point or just earlier, because you're both travelling the same speed. And these are the basic rules. Closing speed, same speed. If you are losing speed to the person in front of you into the braking zone, you've just lifted up or adjusted it a bit too much. So you only want one of those two outcomes. Now, the other tricky thing, as I've brought up a couple of times, is obviously the more or less consistent you or the person you're following is, the harder or easier it can get. Honestly, that's not so much about rules, but the closer you get to those basic rules, the more likely you can make those mental calculations on the fly, which is what you are all doing yourselves quite brilliantly. That's more intuitive, and you don't want to overthink that too much. And with experience and trial and error, you get better and better at it. So I don't want to labour that point. I just wanted to reinforce it. The next bunch of shenanigans now, which gets rather interesting, is all 5 of us are going to be working in a train. Okay? Firstly, it's going to be all 4 of you. and then I'll join, because I want to be able to scan through the four of you. So the person leading will be Iceman, then DM Tornado, then Pesky Wabbits, and then GT Grandad. Okay? Go for it now. And just sort of stay together. And I'm just going to have a look at that. And I will feed you real-time feedback. So, yeah. Let's do it. So you'll just sort of wait at turn 1 till everybody's come out. Iceman leading DM Tornado, leading Pesky Rabbits, leading GT Grandad. So basically get bumper to bumper, and then I want Iceman, I want you to just build into a pace. You're not going too fast, and just slowly build up the speed. So let's do it, Just build up that speed. Now, in a way, avoiding bumping into the person in front of you is easier when the person in front of you has slipstream. But if you are plebbing the exit of the corner, it is easier to lose the toe of the group ahead. So it's a different set of challenges. So DM Tornado, just lift off a bit, and just want you to keep your eye on the back of the train. And I would say go 75% of your normal pace. Iceman, sorry, is at the front. 75%, so not quite as fast as what you guys were doing just a minute ago. It's about being as close as possible, and you don't need to be going as fast as possible to learn from it. Just to sort of build up that pace. I don't want you to think too much about the person behind you, only what's in front of you. In a way, you have to not focus too much on the person behind you unless you know they're attacking. And yeah, you've got to guess sometimes. So stay in that train. I just want to see what you all do. Oh, GT Grandad has done a big pleb. So yeah, massive lift from everybody. Let him catch up. We will get there. We're only going to do this for one more lap. Because this is a harder thing to do. This tends to work when the lap times of the drivers are all very similar. It's a lot harder. Okay, this looks good. A little bit more lift, Iceman. Should let GT Grandad catch up. He's nearly there, and we're good to go. Yeah, we're good to go. That's it. You're just cruising, guys. You're just cruising. Not going crazy. You're not trying to brake as late as possible or carry too much speed. I wouldn't lift you yet, Grandad. Stay close. Stay close. Not in a sort of high-speed sequence like that. More so as you're approaching braking zones, heavy braking zones. Yeah, looks good. Looks good. So when you start your third lap, carry on. But I'm going to be joining the group. So Grandad, I know you're a little bit behind, but just brake at the usual brake point. Try and carry speed into the corner. Just get yourself back onto that train. super close.
Is this the road corner pace?
Yeah, let Grandad catch up again. And we've got one more lap of this. And I'll be joining the back of it. Not an easy thing to do. I appreciate. But what I might effectively try and do is work with Grandad to basically help him catch up to the faster group. So once you go past me, I'll basically tell you guys to go with your usual pace, and I will try and help Grandad catch up. He's on the back of it at the moment, so again it's about just continuing to work on what we have already been working on, making those micro adjustments depending on how close you are. So for example, DM Tornado will have to work. Whoa, big spinala. Okay, everybody back to the pits. Let's start again. Everybody exits at the same time. I appreciate your patience here, guys. Yeah, back to the pits, and then straight away everyone back out. Same order. And we're only going to do one lap of this. I was saying that DM Tornado, you will be doing what you're normally doing because of course Iceman doesn't have a toe. But I wanted Pesky Rabbits and Grandad to try and get a feel for what we're doing, which is basically following someone when there's a toe. Right, let's go. Eventually you guys will see how I'm responding when you watch this footage back later. So that's probably the main point of what we're doing right now. You can see what I'm doing and the decisions I'm making with respect to what's going on in front of me. So I want to give Grandad a big bump here, so I've taken a wider line to give myself the possibility of being able to give him a bump. I can see he's got the toe because I'm not really closing in. So I will just brake just before my usual brake point. Try to accelerate in a way that I will bump him on the exit of the corner if I'm trying to work with him and stay with the group. This is the sort of thing you want to be doing early in the race. I might also just have a little look early so as to not make people think I'm going to go for a move and then cut back in, just so I can see what's going on. And I'll explain why in a minute. I'm definitely going to lift here. Whoa, big spinala. Grandad back to the pits, and then just watch the group. Watch the group. You'll still get some good information from it. So I'm now going to work with Pesky Rabbits to get us back onto the slipstream, because I can see that the gap is just a bit more. So in a way, Iceman and DM Tornado, I want you guys to try and, you know, not let us catch back up. We did though, we did. One more lap.
I lifted.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. One more lap. So I have to brake really nice and early here. And then for you, Grandad, it's not a case of being like, nah, I don't get it. I know it's just a case of developing that skill, which you will. The amount you've improved over the past 2 months is really, really good, and it's only going to get better. But being able to watch it, so I'm not lifting here, as you can see. I don't need to, because I'm not closing in, so I don't need to prevent contact. Right, Iceman's had a moment, so I'm going to bump him. There we go. That works out well for the purposes of what's going on. If it was a race, I wouldn't. Iceman would be left for dust, if possible. Might have dirty tyres, so I'm just going to give Pesky Rabbits a tap there. I don't see the point in trying to battle at that point. Try and get a better exit. I'm going to bump both of them because DM Tornado is getting away. And that's the prize. DM Tornado is leading early in the race. I kind of don't want to be doing crazy battling and letting DM Tornado pull away. Because I also don't want people going defensive into heavy braking zone. And ultimately, we all get through the corner slower. Iceman has done a pleb. Woo! No worries. Okay. Right, all back to the pits now. It's hard, isn't it, guys? It's hard. Feel free to unmute yourselves if you've got any questions before we move on to the next pile of shenanigans. Or type it into the chat. That's absolutely fine. All good. Okay.
Yeah, all good from me as well. I do feel that there's a difference in the grip level following the people I've compared to, like, obviously all the laps that I've been doing. It feels different grip.
Yeah, you'd be right. There is a slightly different grip level because of the dirty air. They have relatively recently added a smidge of dirty air to Group 3, and certain tracks you feel it more or less. So, for example, Barcelona is less obvious than here because these corners are much higher speed, and so downforce is more important. So it becomes more obvious. Whereas something like Bathurst, nah, it's too twisty and technical to be obvious. Just as an example, but you'd be right. If you're picking up on that, then you are sensitive to detail, and that is a good thing. So yeah, you're absolutely right.
I feel like I'm really struggling to get my front end in when I'm following DM Tornado. It just doesn't want to go like on that, especially the very fast section at the end. I feel like I just can't get the line at all.
Yeah, 100%. I think what I would do is when we do the next interesting event, I will think about that specific thing when I'm following, so that I can better explain it to you how I would get around that. It is ultimately about adjusting speed. For DM Tornado, he's thinking about turning in a little bit earlier. You can also adjust how quickly you lift, because if you lift or brake quickly, what happens? You get weight transfer onto the front. So you can use that just to offset. So we're talking about high level detail of manipulating the car. So I'll give you all an example before we move on to the main event. If you all watch my view, okay? Now, you may have to watch this back on replay quite closely, but there's something interesting about the Porsche, and it's this. If you're braking and you lift off this quickly, you sort of get a nice little turn in, but with a lot of corners it makes the rear end step out to the point that you're working your rear tyre too hard. This speed, what I'm doing now, watch this. Smooth roll off there. I actually got great front end grip there, and I actually cut the corner. So I'm going to do that corner again. We're just going to stick to that particular left-hander because I can get to it quickly. We can look at it a couple of times. The next time I come up to it, I'm going to try and come off the brake slowly. And I want you to pay attention to the way you see the screen dip, the car dip at the front, and the apex speed if you can pick up on it. Again, you'll have the advantage of watching it back later. So I'm going to try and come up to it at full speed. I'm going to come off the brakes slowly, and we'll see how the car behaves in terms of tilting around. Okay, so we'll do that again. And this comes down to timing, okay? Because the timing of when you start to lift off the brakes, in a way you can make that, you've got your brake point, and then you've got the timing of how long you're on the brakes. And you can actually, I think some people might just do it intuitively, and other people might have a timer in their head, brake, 1, 2, roll off. And they might get consistent that way. That's a similar thing that I do, timing. Quick lift. Now, you'd really have to study it in detail to sort of see it. But the point is this. When you're doing corners and you've got your brake point, that's down, and you're coming up to that same brake point at the same speed because you've got the previous corner right, you should experiment with how fast, slow, fast halfway, slow the rest of it. Experiment with the way that you move the brake, because different cars respond better or worse to different braking inputs in that way. With the Porsche, I've noticed, with a cheeky sort of 100% down to 50% coming off a smooth, quick roll off, not a jerk off like a quick sort of, you know, if you've got your hand on a hot pan, you lift it off like that. Not like that, but a sort of relatively quick roll off. Sometimes it makes the front end grip really nice. Honestly, to really feel that and find that, it's going to take practice in your own time. And then when you do that with the AMG, nothing really fucking happens. To be honest, nothing really happens. With the AMG, you've really got to sort of wring its neck, force it to bloody well do what you want it to do in the corner. The Lamborghini, for example, if you come off that throttle too quickly, you will do a 720. We all know that. So it varies. So, main event. Here's what's interesting. So I have a race lined up, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to give you guys just enough information about what to expect in terms of tyre wear, fuel, laps, yada yada yada, and we're gonna have a race. Now, I want you to prioritise your race time. I know you don't know what that might be because we haven't practiced the race. I fully appreciate that, but I just want you to remember and keep in mind race time. You may find yourselves on your own for a lot of it because there's just 5 of us. That is fine too. But if you do happen to find yourself following, I'm not really going to tell you guys what to do. I want to see what you guys decide to do depending on the circumstances. Here are the race details. The tyre wear is up at 12, so it's reasonably high. So this race will reward you for a smooth rhythm. If you overdrive the car, really try to maximise late braking, sliding around, you're going to suffer. It's probably better to find a really nice smooth rhythm, again focusing on your race pace. The fuel is at a level that if you're not paying attention you might run out. So remember when I was saying about lifting fully off, coasting for a while until the car speed equalises and then braking at the usual point. Guess what? That's a really good thing for not only staying close but also saving fuel, because if you're going down the straight off the throttle 1, 2, 3 seconds and you accumulate 6 seconds a lap, by the end of the lap you've got, you know, 12, 15 seconds of full throttle over your opponent if it's close on fuel. That's a huge advantage if you want to do that final lap push. It's not quite that difficult, but it's up there. Tyres available are soft and medium. It's an 8-lap race, okay? And I will do a qualifier. The tyre wear will be off and the fuel consumption will be off. The grip will be slightly different. It will almost be like slightly dirtier when you're doing the qualifying, so it'll be slightly less grippy than what we were just doing, but only by about half a second a lap. Okay, so I'll just change that now. So quick recap, you've got medium tyres, soft tyres. Soft and medium last about 4 laps apiece. You could potentially stretch the softs to 5 laps, possibly. Depends how nice you are with them, but I think it's 4 laps on each. You've got just enough fuel, but if you're not paying attention, you'll run out. Depending on where you start, you might start mediums, right? And try to follow and energise your medium stint. Or you might start softs and trust in your pace and try and pull away. The interesting catch is this. I will start at the back. And I will also start my race about 10 seconds after you guys. The purpose isn't to sort of get that cool little, you know, I finish right at the line with you guys. The purpose is that I'm coming through And I want you guys to beat me. I don't want you to sort of wave me through. I want you to batter me, but I want to see the decisions you make of when to battle in the conventional sense, you know, sword fight, versus playing it smart. I want to see what you guys do on your own, because of course I can ultimately give feedback on that. Any questions about that? All happy?
Yeah, all good.
Okie dokie. I'll do the qualifying as well. You guys will start, but I will basically, you know, I'll be letting you guys go 10 seconds first. So, pesky rabbits, jump into the entry, and I'll start qualifying. You'll have enough time for one lap. So, very, very, very smooth out lap to build up that rhythm. And, yeah, let's rock and roll. Let's see. And I can save this replay and go through it later. Here we go.
I'm assuming we can qualify on softs.
Yeah, you can qualify on softs, absolutely. But yeah. Bear in mind, you'll want to then exit to the pits after your lap to make sure you have the option of changing tyres. If the countdowns run out, you won't be able to exit to the part where you can switch your tyres depending on what strategy you want to play. So get used to what the grip is like with the soft tyres on the outlap. Remember, tyre wear is off for this, so you don't have to worry too much about that. So really try and find your braking points quite quickly on your outlap. The lap I do, you will ultimately see in the video, and you can always refer to that. Okay, exit to the pits on time before that timer runs out, and then select your tyres. GT Grandad on technical pole, what a G. It would be like, what? Fantastic. Okay, so yes, choose your tyres. So bear in mind, with the qualifying countdown, just have a think again. There's just enough fuel. You could easily run out if you're not paying attention. You don't really need to fuel save, but you know. You can use medium tyres 4 laps, soft tyres 4 laps. Although I'll be at the front of the start, which is a grid start, just bear in mind, like, I will sort of start and get out of the way. I will move out of the way, so you guys can just start in a straight line. You don't have to drive around me, and I will wait 10 seconds until I start my race, effectively. And yeah, you just think about whether I'm going to follow, go aggressive, soft start, medium start. You know, you could potentially do an undercut where you do 3 laps medium, 5 laps soft, but you have to nurse your tyres for 5 laps. So you have to sort of think, better not to be sliding around, taking too many risks. It is a grid start with the traffic lights. So yeah, we're going to try to avoid not starting the race before the lights go off, and then we get a start penalty. So you're going to have handbrake, you know, handbrake on, release that once those lights go out. I know GT Grandad has plebbed that a couple of times before. I can hear you laugh again, even though, you know, it's on mute. Yeah, we're all capable of pleving it, but the main thing about this race, yeah, there it is. The main thing is we're all going to have fun. If you crash, by the way, or massively wipe yourselves out, the best thing you can do psychologically is to recalibrate how you define a win. So let's say you get back, let's say you get back onto the track, you get your dirty tyres off, and you are, say, you've lost 10 seconds. The person you were racing, you might set a target of saying, I will close that gap to within 4 seconds by the end of the race. And you can deem that a win, for example. Or I can make sure that I don't lose pace because we're so similar. And then you set yourself a whole new race that you can just focus on, and you forget about the fact that you've had a wipeout. Psychologically, it's a really good thing to do, because to focus on the wipeout is way more annoying. So, here we go, guys. Let's have a race. Grid start, full start check. I will move off to my right and get out of the way. Let's have a good one. I'm still not at 10 seconds. There we go, 10 seconds now, pretty much. Yeah, not a section I recommend going too wide through. Look how quickly I closed up. Way. I can see DM Tornado, Pesky Rabbits are working smart. Because if they want to beat me, for example, battling early at this stage of the race probably isn't wise. So that's a good example. Stay close, work together, bump draft, increase both your paces, and then duke it out on the final lap. So if I was in Iceman's position, I'd be thinking, I'd be looking at that delta, that red delta that marks the gap between me and the leader, and thinking, right, I want to sort of match that pace or be within XYZ time by the end of the race, and just sort of focus on that as a means to measuring personal progress. Ooh, you guys started mediums. Mwah. Okay, alright, okay. I thought you guys started soft. I'm coming. So if I was Pesky Wabbits and DM Tornado, I'd be definitely thinking about trying to both go as fast as possible together. Any wheel-to-wheel stuff is very quickly going to change the game. Because you want to be sort of thinking, I want to fight for P1 or 2. And that's it. Not 3, 4, 5. If I'm Pesky Wabbits, I'm thinking I want to close that gap but not overdrive the car. Just keep it smooth because it might pay off. Oh! Tough luck, tough luck. Keep going. Right, recalibrate what you define as a win. Once the delta between you and P1 settles, do you close that gap or not? I reckon GT Grandad's tyre is going to be looking very, very, very upset by lap 8. So under these circumstances, with such a gap, it can be battle royale between me and DM Tornado. It's definitely an option. But you might be thinking, do I want to maybe put my opponent under more pressure so they scrub their tyres, so when it's the final lap, I have just a bit more tyres. So you could be sort of trying to fake them out, you know, stuff like that. This is the kind of track where it's like, you know, all that matters is if you're in front on the final corner. So getting in front on lap 7 is a bit less important than getting in front on lap 8 in terms of, well, you still got to get around this great big massive straight we're on. He's closing, he will be threatening into this next corner. Will I go defensive? Nope. He's got the inside, so I will actually lift and let him through because we'll both get through quicker. And then we just stay close and I wait for a better opportunity so that the lap time is preserved, but we are still much game on. That's why I wouldn't go too wide through that high speed final sector. Too much time. I might try to pull out a 7/10 gap through sector 1 so that I'm out of the way by the straight, but that's high risk and you'd have to really push it and you might make a mistake. So to pull out a not, you know, enough of a gap not to have the toe in sector 1 is quite hard to do. Yeah, literally half a tenth. Super close. Ah, there we go. I see someone looking very sideways. I think that's Grandad. And this is where you start to notice tyres. I can see that David's tyres have really dropped off. We'll look at the replay and we'll see how different they look. But it can make a huge difference on the final lap. You don't really notice it on the lap before that. Alright, a good race, guys. Yeah, nicely done. I think it was good to just end that and have some fun.
Nice race.
I'll save that replay so I make sure I don't forget that. But yeah, it will enable me to look back on it. Now, obviously, the race is better if we have a much larger group. I think we'll get there. We'll get there one day, and that would be really cool. So, you know the race, you know the class that's basically full race trim, all tyres. You know that we'll make sure is a big lobby. But I hope we just to really enjoy it, end the session on a high. I hope you enjoyed that little extra, that race. I'll save the replay now and I will basically allow you guys to type / ask any questions you have at the moment. Where's that replay? I saved that. Yeah, any questions, hit me. I'll be analysing the race replay after this session and I'll get that uploaded separately. And I will also upload the entire session for you guys to be able to refer to and look back on. So I'll just wait for those questions for a moment.
can I talk, James, or is someone else talking to you?
No, go for it.
Yeah, I'm happy with that, how that race went, because I think that race is a case in point exactly of my problems. So, like, if you look at my lap times, the overall pace throughout was determined by like who I was with and following, and I was struggling to sort of get past and do that sort of stuff. Yeah, you'll see that how it really dictates how my pace and my racing. Once I got into free air, then I had my own pace, and it was pretty good example, I think.
Yeah, I think that's good, because then I can look at that specifically. So thanks for letting me know about that. I will address that. I remember you bringing it up, and I think I saw you get into a nice little battle with GT Grandad.
Yeah,
and that would be a good example.
That wasn't a battle. I couldn't get into no form of rhythm at all, none whatsoever. None.
Understand. It's tough, man.
I didn't enjoy the race. Trust me, it was. I don't know. I seemed to be fighting it right the way through.
No, I understand. I think it's because there's a certain psychological element to it. It's not like pressure, because it's not like this is a world championship, but there is that element of consciously thinking about what you're trying to work on, and there's a very real thing in the human mind that you have to appreciate, and where your automatic habits and skills that you've refined comes from in your brain is a completely different region of the brain to where you are developing something new. And that's why there is this famous situation where this total underdog female tennis player literally got to the final sort of set against the world champion. She was on fire, and I think in that moment she realised the enormity of what she was about to accomplish, and she became hyper aware of what she was on the cusp of, and all of a sudden she started thinking ever so slightly consciously about what she was doing, and she just imploded. It's like quite literally a different part of her brain began doing the tennis playing. And what happened by thinking about it, you revert back to the way you were doing things as a beginner, because when you're a beginner is when you consciously think about it. So you basically turn yourself into a beginner by being too conscious, and I appreciate that that's a really difficult psychological balance to strike, where you do want to ultimately adapt to something and change and tweak your habits, and yet still not overthink it. Guys, there are numerous books on it. It is something that has plagued athletes in the world over, but it's good to be aware of that and be able to actually work on that, because it's a huge part of it. Even just to enjoy racing more, it's a part of it. So yeah, I will look at that, Neil, about what you mentioned. I'll look at everything. I'll get lots of feedback for you guys. I want to say a big thank you guys for effectively making this happen. It's really cool to get this group going. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you gained something from it. And yeah, I look forward to bringing you bigger and better sessions. Really, that's the goal. We're not going to rush it. We're going to let you digest what we did today. And yeah, keep in the loop effectively. I will be keeping you guys in the loop, and I will be working to try and get a large group together. I'll also send you a sort of follow-up email with the links, of course, and a little sort of survey so I can get your feedback. I'll also ask for a mini testimonial that we can ultimately share, and anyone that's sort of scratching their chins, do I want to do this, they can hear from the guys who have done it what they think. So if you want to basically tell everybody how terrible I am and how you are pulling your fingernails out with disdain, then please whack it all into the feedback form. I will really appreciate it.
It's brilliant fun, James. Excellent. Thank you very much, and thanks to the other guys, for chipping in.
Awesome. We will conclude there. I appreciate it, guys. I will do that replay. Enjoy your evening. I will also be releasing another daily race strategy thing soon that I'll bang into the emails. I think it's going to be a funny one, cars that don't exist sort of thing. And yeah, I will be speaking to you all very soon.